Thank you. That was very kind. Putting a professor in front of a captive audience and then saying only speak for 5 minutes is a lot like putting a T-bone steak in front of a hungry dog and telling him only eat half of it. Nonetheless, I'll try. Good morning. Buenas tardes. Guten Abend. Abend? No. Guten Morgen. Muli bwanji. Dobre pulunde. Wow. 36 years on this faculty. And this is the last time I'll address you as a regular faculty member. What a job. I actually got paid to do a job that I really love. Not paid enough, you understand. It's been an incredible career, and the best part is watching these young people learn and learn to learn. Congratulations, graduates. You should be proud. No, more than proud, you should be arrogant. Faster than a speeding bullet, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, that's what you can do. Anyone who can pass ECE 301 can do anything. And I'm serious about the arrogance. You may not know how to do it yet, but you do know that you can figure it out. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not well educated. We sometimes find ourselves confronted with the statement that engineering education is somehow lacking in cultural content. For example, last week there was a flyer circulating around campus that said, and I quote, "Rather, the problem is one of overcoming the biases of engineering education that lead students to overlook the aesthetic dimension." Bull. Let me address that thought. In Memorial Auditorium in downtown Raleigh, every year at Christmas, there's a play called A Christmas Carol. And last year in the lobby of the auditorium, there was a pottery bust of the star, Ira David Wood. The artist who was commissioned to make the bust was educated as an electrical engineer. He learned to be a sculptor. I doubt you will find very many people with training in the fine arts who can also do a fault analysis on a digital system. I can tell you the philosophical influence that Newtonian mechanics had on Darwinian biology, the relation of that to Kierkegaard's existentialism. I studied Descartes, Newton, Darwin in a philosophy of science course, which was part of my engineering education. And I learned Kierkegaard because it was interesting. I doubt you'll find very many people whose formal training is in philosophy who can design a vision system for a robot. My son is an emergency physician at Wake Med. I hope you've never had the opportunity to meet him. Sometimes people say, "Well, I saw your son the other day." Oh, I'm sorry. He's twice chosen the best emergency physician in North Carolina. His education? Chemical engineering. He learned anatomy, physiology, and pathology. You won't find very many people with formal training in pre-med who can design a distillation column. Oh, and by the way, the kidney is just a distillation column. In my life, I've spoken English, German, Chinyanja, trace amounts of Polish and Spanish. How many linguists do you know that can speak microcode? Don Rhodes, an emeritus member of our faculty, was educated as an engineer. He has become a recognized authority in the transformation in musical notation between pre- and post-Renaissance music. To do this, he learned music history, musicology, Latin, and Greek. I doubt you'll find many people with formal training in musicology that can also design satellite antennas, publish their results in the Journal of the Royal Society, the most prestigious scientific journal in the world. Jimmy Carter, anybody remember Jimmy Carter? Educated as an engineer, did something in government. He learned law and politics. You won't find many people with formal training in political science who can design a nuclear reactor. Francis Bacon was said to be the last Renaissance man, a man who, by his own admission, had read everything of worth which had been published. We often hear that everyone should have a liberal education, which includes training in the arts, philosophy, mathematics, and science. Sounds like an engineering education to me. Engineers are, in my opinion, this century's Renaissance people, because they are trained to learn. And with that training comes the arrogance of being able to tackle any problem in any field. Of course, that arrogance can get you in trouble. There's an old story about France during the French Revolution. And by the way, the problem with telling a joke is that it fits beautifully, but somebody's heard it. So if you've heard it, just bear with me. And they used to execute people during the French Revolution. They used a machine called the guillotine, much more efficient and effective than the guy with the axe. Guillotine chopped your head off and did it cleanly and efficiently. So the story goes that there was a province in France which used the guillotine to kill people, but they had a strange law that said if the guillotine blade falls and you survive, you're free. So, of course, there was a priest, a lawyer, and an engineer. And the priest put his head down in the machine, and the executioner pulls the rope up, lets the rope go, the blade falls, shoo, stops just above the priest's neck. He stands up, says, "The Lord be praised," and walked away a free man. Then it was the lawyer. Put his head in the machine, pull the rope, drop the blade. It falls, stops just above his neck. He stands up and says, "Justice has been served," and walks away a free man. Now it's the engineer's turn. Puts his head in the machine, looks up, "Oh, there's your problem." Engineers fix things. We can't help it. It's what we do. One time the phone rang in heaven. God picks it up. The devil's on the other end of the line, says, "Good morning." God says, "Good morning." God says, "Oh, what's up? What's down?" The devil says, "Well, things are going well here. We have an engineer. And he's taken the heat from the fires from hell and the frozen lake and used them in a heat engine to set up electricity generation, air conditioning, electric power, sewage treatment." Oh, it smells a lot better here. It's just getting really nice. And God says, you've got an engineer? You're not supposed to have engineers. You send him back up here. And the devil said, He's got a new project started. He's going to do some more of that heat transfer stuff, and all the staff are getting hot tubs. I'm not sending him back. And God says, you have to send him back. It's in the agreement. And the devil said, no, I'm not sending him back. God said, The devil said, what are you going to do? And God says, I'll sue. Right, you know the punchline, right? Yeah, right. Where are you going to get a lawyer? Apologies to the lawyers in the audience. You knew it was coming, right? And one true story. A friend of mine who's also an engineer and I were once asked if we knew how to light a gas hot water heater. Of course, we said. Well, actually, we didn't know how, but we're engineers. We can learn. We can figure it out, and figure it out we did. The learning curve was a little steep. Fortunately, in addition to being an engineer, I was a paramedic. And the emergency room doctor, when we got him there, he said my friend was not burned too severely. And now we do know how to light a hot water heater. So within reason, you can take pride, even arrogance, in your education. For you are the Renaissance people. You can learn anything. The details of what you've learned in the last 4 years, that's the guys in the red robes, the last 5 to more than 5. Those details aren't really so important because an engineering education teaches a person to learn. And if you have learned to learn, then we, your faculty, have done our job. And we are immensely proud of you. Thank you.